Direct from Foxborough, Massachusetts, the gem of Norfolk County, and taped at the studios of Foxborough Cable Access. It's Foxborough Central. And here's your host, Bob Hickey.
And welcome to another fantastic episode of Foxborough Central. I am Bob Hickey. I am your host, and I am very pleased that you have taken the time to join me and my guests, plural, as we talk about the people, events, and organizations that make Foxborough the gem of Norfolk County. We're going to, of course, tackle all three of those points today because we have some great people with us who all make a difference. We are talking about a couple of organizations that make an impact in our community, and we're talking about an event that's upcoming that should be something on your calendar. It's very important. It's going to address a serious issue, and it's one that they're going to present in a different, maybe humorous, very serious way. So, shall we start, everybody?
Sounds good.
All right, who wants to go first? Oh, I'm kidding. I go first. I'm the host. So we are talking to my friends from the Safe Coalition, and that would be you, Jim Derrick.
Nice to see you, Bob. Thanks for having us on.
It's nice that you could join us and really share. So let's jump right into what the event is first.
Sure.
And then we'll ratchet back, talk about the why and the who and the what, shall we?
Let's do that. So we, with wonderful partners like the Foxborough Rotary and Infinity Family Healthcare, are bringing the Improbable Players, which is a theater troupe that's been in existence, I won't steal your thunder, since 1989?
84.
84, okay.
Wow.
Played to over 1 million people,
That's right.
both here and in New York. We are bringing their production called End of the Line, which is a focus on the opioid crisis and how people actually get into opioid abuse and substance use disorder and addiction.
Opioids, of course, is such a now and present issue, danger, awareness, crisis.
It is a crisis.
Intervention.
Yeah.
What are we going to be talking about? All of that and more?
Yeah,
or?
all that and more. It's the number one health epidemic in the country by far. We will lose in excess of 38,000 people this year to opioid fatalities related overdoses. Locally in Massachusetts, we lost 2,100 last year. So this is the number one health crisis. But having said that, many people aren't directly impacted. So this is designed to help educate and really be a conversation starter for people on the crisis. How do people get there? Once they're there, how do they get well again? Is recovery possible? All those types of things are what we're going to talk about.
Now, this is an event. It's going to be a presentation show. And Shah Jahan Khan with the Improbable Players, every once in a while. With the Improbable Players, they are going to be performing on the stage at the Marilyn Robin Performing Arts Center, the Orpheum Theater here in Foxborough, on Thursday, May 24th at 7 p.m. Correct?
Yep.
And you are not only an actor, but you're also the development coordinator.
It's a new role for me, actually. I've been, we had like a company transition this past September where our founder and executive director, Lynn Bradley, who started the company in 1984, stepped down after like 34 years. So a bunch of us
That's an
actors.
amazing run.
It's actually pretty incredible. So a bunch of us actors within the company stepped up to various roles. We have 2 co-directors, development, some outreach, marketing, program management. We have a string of about 8 to 10 actors in the Boston area. We have a New York satellite troupe as well, and I've been acting with them for about 4 years.
Okay.
So I was really happy to, join the staff too.
So you're going to be on our stage at the
I am.
Marilyn
I'm actually
Robin
going to
Center.
be one of the 4 performers.
So, opioid awareness.
Yeah.
That's a heavy topic.
Yeah, so this play, it's called End of the Line. It's our most recent production. It was finalized, and I think the first performance was in 2015, but it does address the opioid epidemic specifically. All of our plays are based on actual, amalgamated stories of all the actors in the company. The original play was about, alcoholism and addiction from the viewpoint of a family. It was actually based on Lynn's story. So this play was kind of put together, with different bits and pieces of the actors who were employed.
So it's an outgrowth of experience, but it's put together in a way that makes it relatable, but still powerful.
Yeah, and I mean, it's kind of part of the way that we do stuff is it's designed to like not be a lecture, for people to not be like talking, because we normally do it.
I was going to ask that, because if it's too heavy of a topic, people might shy away. Say,
right,
I don't know if I can handle that type of conversation. How do you address that?
Well, I don't want to give away.
You want people, you don't want to give it away, but you want people to come in and say that, this is something that you really need to see because why?
Yeah, I mean, I think that because
you're on the stage, but
right,
other
and
than
we're
that.
not. Well, we're not. Well, right. We're not giving a lecture, you know what I mean? Like, we're not there to talk down to, because normally we do the plays mostly for middle schoolers and high schoolers, but we've done them also for many different community groups, medical conferences, events like the one on Thursday, May 24th. But I think it's done in a very clever, attention-catching way, sort of right away. And we do integrate, again, I'm not going to give away too much of it, but we do integrate our own like personal stories into it as well. And it's done, I think it's done in a very kind of like, there's some, you know, comedy, there's some, it's just very like, it's extremely thoughtful work.
Okay, interesting. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing it, and I hope some people are also. So just a reminder, it's going to be on Thursday, May 24th at 7 p.m. at the Maryland Robbins Center. You can go onto our website, www.orpheum.org, or you can go to the Safe Coalition's website at www.safecoalitionma.org. They've got a great button. It's a super link. You go in there, and it gives you a lot of really good information. So I'm going to start this way, and we're going to work our way around. So, you know, Jim, Derek, you are the president of the Safe Coalition. What exactly is the mission of the Safe Coalition, and how did you get to be hooked up with the Improbable players?
Sure. So the mission of the coalition is really threefold. One is to reduce the barriers to treatment. One of the most difficult things for somebody with substance use disorder is how do I call my family practitioner? I'm embarrassed. There's stigma, which I'll get to in a minute. So how do we reduce and break down those walls so that people can actually access treatment? So we do have a support line, which is 508-488-8105. It's not a hotline. It's manned 12 hours a day. And people will, if they receive voicemail, they will get a call back. And that helps people navigate the treatment landscape. The second prong of our mission is destigmatization. By having conversations like this, and thank you for this opportunity, and groups like the Improbable Players, and all the many stakeholders like the Rotary and like physicians that we have around our table, by having these conversations in public, we get to break down the stigma, show people that this is not a moral failing, that this isn't is caused by bad parenting. These are people with illnesses, and in fact, substance use disorder is classified by the National Institute of Health as a mental illness, and it needs to be treated that way. And our final mission is prevention and education. And so we work directly with our schools and our other stakeholders, civic groups, speaking. We arrange for programs like the Improbable Players, and that leads me to my final point, which is how we met. I had heard a lot about the Improbable Players. This is only one of 4 programs that they have. They have other programs that fit right into a school. They can go down as low as middle school with very effective programming. And ironically enough, I ran into Chris Everett, a co-director of the Improbable Players, at just a social event. And Mary Graham Louise, who was also on our board of directors, had another fortuitous meeting at the same time with another co-director, and that's how we brought them to town. So they come very highly recommended. I do want to emphasize this play is entirely free of charge to the public. It's been sponsored by our great friends at the Foxborough Rotary and by Infinity Family Healthcare. So as a result, all we request is that people go online and reserve a seat. That's all
fantastic.
they have to do.
So, and that's a great point. It is a free event because the message is powerful, and it's supposed to be one that we're able to spread out. So, Dr. Winnie Cohen with the Infinity Healthcare, thanks so much. You've been on our program before. Always love talking to you.
Thanks for having me back.
I love your practice's approach to medicine and the real approach as opposed to doing it by an insurance company's dictates. So I love talking about this, but how did you get involved with the Safe Coalition? Because surely there's not an opioid problem in Foxborough. I mean, we're Foxborough.
No.
Mansfield, Foxborough is certainly...
Not my town, not my kid.
And near to that. We wouldn't have that issue, would we?
No. So that's a big reason why I met Mary through the Foxborough Rotary. I'm also a member of the Foxborough Rotary.
You are a Rotarian.
I am a Rotarian, a relatively new one who hasn't learned my phraseology yet.
I'm a JC, but you're a Rotarian.
Yes.
But together we all work towards the common cause of making the community a better place.
Exactly.
Good.
So our committee really wanted to figure out a town event addressing the opioid problem, and we were just brainstorming, trying to figure out something different that would draw a different crowd for that very reason that not my kid, not my town. Too often the people, not everyone who needs to be have access to this information shows up for the events.
Yeah. Education is such a big piece of any problem, whether it's AIDS or alcoholism or drunk driving or narcotics or anything that is something that we're not comfortable talking about seems to be a harder nut to crack when it comes to educating the public and getting comfortable talking about it. Yeah. And opioids, I suppose, is the crisis of the moment, but it's not going away. And it's certainly not one that is easily addressed because there's so many underlying issues. You said there's a medical diagnosis. There's also just the issue of accessibility and, scary things being put in it where it causes more problems than just the opioids themselves. And so how do we begin to tackle it? Through education? Through this?
Absolutely. Through exactly what Jim said, destigmatization, having the conversation amongst family members and kids and parents and children and friends, peer groups, be a more regular part of everyday activity.
So is this play, I'll ask you, I'll switch over to Shah Jahan. Do you have, as part of this play, not giving away any of the plot lines, but does this give a parent or a relative or somebody who's concerned maybe some ideas of how to approach it within their own family, maybe some, not guidelines, but maybe just open their eyes to, hey, this isn't just me, just my family, this is an issue that affects a lot of people and don't feel alone? Is that part of what this is about?
One thing, I guess this particular play itself, we do a talk back at the end of every show, which is kind of where we really engage the audience and invite them. And I think that the play itself, creates like a safe enough space where people. Sometimes it takes a little bit because it's very heavy, right? So, especially we finish the play and then we kind of like tell our stories and then we do the talk back. So we try to like set the stage for this kind of community dialogue. Okay. And that's kind of where we open it up to the whole audience to kind of ask us literally any question they might have, and that's where we try to answer honestly, like with our own experience, because that's, I feel like that's like more powerful than anything else.
Any statistic.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
So, but I mean, the statistics are definitely important, right? But adding that personal touch to it.
Well, since there's statistics, we can all read the statistics. We see it in the newspaper every day. We see the toll. We can hear the number of fire departments and police departments that have had to use Narcan and do other things where they save lives or lose lives. Mm-hmm. But when you start talking in a play environment, it's intimate because it's live theater. Yeah. We're all in a room together and we're interacting. Even if we're not interacting, it's still a real experience. It's not a movie where you can turn it off and go to the bathroom.
Right, and it's one of the most amazing things actually.
I love performing arts.
Right.
I love live theater.
And I think the most amazing thing about this particular form of what's called applied theater is during the talk back, like, especially when we're at a middle school or at a high school, and a student just asks a direct question like, hey, listen, I have a friend that's going through this, like, what can I do? We try to just pass along the best messages we can as far as like, make sure you yourself are safe, make sure, because like that's of tantamount importance too, but like addiction does actually have radiating effects in the community, and families and stuff too. So it is kind of like amazing what sort of healing atmosphere I think our shows do create. So and it is something that you kind of have to see. It's hard for me to like describe it. Mm-hmm. Sure. So please come to the show.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing you on the stage and you perhaps in our audience at the Marilyn Robbins Center on Thursday, May 24th. The play starts at 7 o'clock. There is a talk back, as you say. I think back in the old days we call it question answer, but maybe I'm wrong.
We call it that too, actually, a Q&A.
Talk back at the end of the event. So if you are someone who's either affected or knows somebody who's impacted or perhaps just want to learn more, this will be a great event. It is free. And it is free courtesy of our sponsors. So we love sponsors, and Infinity Healthcare is one. And the Foxborough Rotary Club is another major stakeholder, as we say.
Correct.
And I'm so pleased to be talking to the incoming president, Mary Graham-Louise. Mary,
Hi.
it's great to meet you. And welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Aren't we a user-friendly group here?
Yes, I feel
Very,
much better.
very warm and comforting. It's just
Yes.
peaceful conversation, isn't it?
Yes.
So this is a very important subject. And
This
how did the
is.
Rotary get involved? And thank you so much for your sponsorship, by the way.
Oh, You're welcome. It's our pleasure. I'm a nurse in Boston, the Boston Healthcare for the Homeless program.
Okay.
So this touches me personally. I see my patients suffering and having to deal with a lot of issues around substance use disorder. And I felt as a Rotarian that this was something that Rotary really needed to take on. As a Rotarian, they do have 6 areas of focus, and one of them is fighting disease. This is a disease, and it needs to be addressed through the Rotary Club, I think. Rotary Club is an international organization, so we can have some impact on this. And so I'm really excited to be making it kind of my focus for my presidency as a Rotarian coming in, starting July 1st, and continuing.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. And to continue forging ahead, because it's a long road. There's a lot of stigma. It's not a very sexy thing to talk about, and it's still very much hidden. And I'm looking to bring it into the focus, into the conversation. And that's how I got involved with the SAFE Coalition, and how I dragged Wendy along right with me. And as in the medical profession, both of us, there's a lot of room to be doing a lot of work. So this is something that we're really excited about bringing to the community.
Well,
and I also want to make a plug for
Please.
the Sharon Rotary Club and the Mansfield Rotary Club have also been contributors to this program.
Fantastic. So it's a regional approach?
It's definitely, I'm trying to hook up a lot of the different Rotary clubs, not only in our district, but outside our district, because this has to come to the forefront. And the thing that Rotary is known for is their polio eradication. So they've also taken on other diseases such as malaria and Alzheimer's. That's right out in the forefront as well. So I'm looking to bring this out as well. And
So this fits into that model and what your history has been. So that's very interesting. I did not know that about the Rotary Club.
yes.
Interesting. And Infinity is also in Mansfield.
Correct.
So we definitely have that regional appeal here. So in the Mansfield world, what is it that the opioid crisis is really, probably this is not the correct way of phrasing it, what do you see in your practice as far as the impact on families, individuals, productivity? I mean, it's family practice, so you'd never see this, I'm sure. But
I told Jim and Mary at a recent SAFE meeting, prior to connecting with the SAFE Coalition, I see this daily, both with people with chronic pain and the dynamic over time of how we in the medical profession address that, the sometimes adversarial relationship, but also I do see patients of all ages, and I often have parents whose children are affected or spouses, and I really felt unequipped with my medical training to guide them as to how to get help. I knew the statistics and the rules, but by connecting with the SAFE Coalition, which produces this fabulous guidebook of resources, of phone numbers and how-tos for navigating the recovery system in our local area. Jim and Jen Knight have been phenomenal resources I just feel so much better equipped to help a patient who comes to me from whatever direction.
so the SAFE Coalition has been helpful to you, a medical professional.
Absolutely.
But then what about me, a civilian? Am I still going to be able to get that kind of information, or is this geared towards the general public?
Resource booklet that SAFE produces is absolutely geared at the general public, and it's passed out at the police departments. We have it in our office. We put it in all public places.
Could I speak to that for 1 minute?
Yeah, I was just going to ask you. So with the SAFE Coalition, how do you forward face to the community? What do
Thanks
we
for asking, because that
grab a
to
hold
me
of?
is where the rubber meets the road. And I have to say, thank you for mentioning Jen Knight. Jen Knight was the impetus for this. She's a Franklin resident. She's a director of mental health services, a director at Riverside. And in putting together this group of people in 2015, which is really just a short period of time ago, what happened is we've really altered the landscape. And when I say we have 14 people on our board of directors, and we have about 50 other community members that come around the table regularly to problem solve. So to your question, what we have done is we have gone out and engaged, as I mentioned before, schools, places of worship, civic organizations, physicians, citizens in general, people in long-term recovery. We brought all this, police, fire, we have them at our meetings regularly. And we represent 8 towns and over 250,000 citizens, all the way from Mansfield all the way up to Bellingham. So we bring everybody together, break down the silos, and everybody now has developed together collaboratively all of this information and knowledge and data that we can then get out to the public. So as a dad who has a son suffering from this illness, I can tell you that 5 short years ago, I was stumbling around the streets with absolutely no idea where to go. When the coalition was born, all of that changed. And today you could walk into the Foxborough Police and find our material. You could walk into a church. You could walk into the Board of Selectmen. Someone is going to know that the Safe Coalition exists. And that's our goal, is to get out into the community and make sure people know that this wonderful group of people exist and that there's plenty of information and bridges to get help.
That's great. That's great. Very impactful outcome, but the battle's not over. Surely, we're just starting, actually.
We're just starting. I'm so proud of this group right now because of the inroads that we've made. High schools are welcoming us in for forums. Mary has dedicated herself tirelessly to seeing to it that not only Rotary clubs, but she's been out in the community. She's a tour guide for our Hidden in Plain Sight exhibit, which gives a parent a window into the world of someone who might be experimenting and what paraphernalia looks like. Wendy has been equally as passionate, and it's because of people like Wendy and Mary that this coalition is successful. And we have lots of them, so we're very, very fortunate.
That's great. Well, it takes a community to solve a problem sometimes, and clearly there's a good group of people here who have a finger in the stake here. So, question for you, sir.
Yes, indeed.
I love talking to people to find out motivation. So, Shahjahan, you're a professional actor. You could be doing anything. You could be doing Camelot or anything. Why this? What is your calling here?
Yeah, so for me personally, acting was something that I had lost or given away due to my own addiction. I've been in long-term recovery for a little over 7 years. I'd done started to get into theater in middle school, and kind of just when that stuff was budding, drugs and everything took over for me. So when I was getting clean, getting sober, in recovery circles around Boston, I sort of learned of, there's this artists in recovery meeting I would go to from time to time. And that's where I believe I first met Lynn. Also some friends kind of told me that there was this like theater troupe that does something about recovery. And I kind of had put it in the back of my mind that like, yeah, it sounds like something I should do, but I procrastinated. I also, just a lot of fear those first couple of years in recovery. So I think I was about 2 years sober when I was like, I really want to get back into acting. Let me give this a shot. So since then, it's kind of transformed my life. It's given me the confidence to pursue acting on a much more professional level. And it's really just kind of opened up this world to me that I kind of thought would never be for me. And also, telling my story and being involved with something like this kind of helps me to, not undo the past, but like I feel like with every sort of, anytime I know that I've spoken directly to a kid in a school or something, like I do feel like maybe there was like a reason that I went through what I went through.
They always say if you can reach one, it's worth it.
Yeah. And we're lucky we get to reach hundreds at a time.
And acting is pretend, but for you it's very real.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, it's been a pleasure meeting you. We're almost out of time, so what I'm going to do is give everybody a chance to have one last plug in. I'm going to remind everybody that we're talking to the group who is bringing the End of the Line by the Improbable Players to our community on Thursday, May 24th. It's at 7 p.m. It is a free event. It's at the Orpheum Theater, the Maryland Robbins Center. Want you to come out, and also, more importantly, if you have somebody that you know is being impacted or has a relative, a child, a parent, a friend who is in the grips of opioid addiction, that maybe it would be a good opportunity for you to share a little. So we're going to start over here with my friend Shah Jahan, and thank you so much for allowing me to butcher your name the entire
No, you didn't butcher it at all. I would really encourage the Foxborough community to come out. Even if you don't think this necessarily impacts you directly, I think that maybe at some point in your life, because it is a disease that doesn't really discriminate. Maybe at some point in your life you might know somebody or love somebody or care for somebody that is affected by addiction or alcoholism. So it's a pretty good time. I think it's a good show. So
there you
come
go.
see it.
A good show is always a good take, no matter what the topic is. So, Mary Graham Louise, it's so wonderful that you're here and that the Rotary Club in Foxborough is helping to sponsor this. From the Rotary standpoint, what do you want to tell us?
A couple of housekeeping. It's not appropriate for audiences 6th grade and below.
Okay.
And we will have some resource tables there. So there'll be other organizations such as Learn to Cope, possibly a table with information about vaping, Narcan. So information tables where people and families can go for information on what's out there, what can we do, how do we get support. So, and also the Safe Coalition will have a table, the Rotary Club. So I invite, again, everyone to come.
At the risk of going over time, I want to share that that's a phenomenal thing, because so many people say, I just don't know where to get the resources. So this is going to be a catch-all night.
Correct.
For a lot of issues. And
Yes.
there will also be people here who can speak intelligently to the issues and maybe give some insight. So Dr. Winnie, it's always a pleasure having you. What, from the medical standpoint, do you want to share? Also, from a sponsorship standpoint, Infinity Helps, thank you.
I echo Shah Jahan. I hope everybody considers coming to this event, because you never know what your neighbor is going through, and you're better prepared to help the people around you if the more you know.
The more you know. And Jim Dare, President of the Board of Directors of the Safe Coalition, I give you the final word.
Thank you so much. This is an opportunity, this is an invitation for conversation, is what it is. And so I would just urge people to come out and engage with your fellow community members. You're going to see people from the public schools there, you're going to see physicians there, you're going to see state representatives there. It's an awesome opportunity to get together and just start the conversation. And a bit of a spoiler alert, addiction and alcoholism, don't start with the drug. The drug or the alcohol is a solution to problems, social and emotional problems that happen at a very young age. This is something I learned as I became president of this organization. So the conversations have to start early, and they have to start in our schools. So I would urge the community to come out and show the school systems in your town how much you do care about our nation's #1 health epidemic.
Powerful message, a powerful issue, and hopefully it'll be a powerful opportunity to get information, get educated, and learn something along the way. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming out, and thank you for taking the time to join us. We do hope to see you with the Safe Coalition and the Improbable Players End of the Line on May 24th. It's a Thursday at 7 p.m. at the Maryland Robin Performing Arts Center at 1 School Street here in Foxborough. You can log on to www.orpheum.org or log on to the Safe Coalition website at www.safecoalitionma.org. Or, as always, you can check us out here at www.fcatv.org for a repeat of this show. Until next time, folks, we hope you have a great day, Foxborough. Take care.